Not a single US president has captured all 151 Pokemon. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, wanted to sit back, relax, and have a conversation with you all about more Flesh and Blood. This is a follow-up video to my video a few days ago. I think at this point it's probably been like 2 or 3 days for you guys. I wouldn't know. I don't keep track of time. At the end of that video, I had mentioned how I want to talk more about Bright Lights, the wonderful set we got a while back that was all about Mechanologist, the class. And earlier today, I was thinking about talking some more about the Pokemon situation. It is release weekend for Pokemon, and I might still make a video at some point tomorrow or Sunday about what's going on with Journey Together, but my thoughts all day have basically been occupied with Evo, which is the set code for Bright Lights. So let's talk about it, and let me talk about why I like this set so much and why I don't think I'm ever going to have enough. So just some of the ground floor stuff you guys need to know. Bright Lights came out in October, don't quote me, October-ish 2023. I remember being pretty close to there. And this set was special because it was all about Mechanologist. This was the first time that Flesh and Blood LSS had done an entire set dedicated to a single class. 3 brand new hero cards, all of them built around Mechanologist gameplay. Bright Lights was very experimental in more ways than one. Not only was it a set dedicated to one specific class, when every other set in the game's history up until that point had been focused on 2 or more classes, but it also tried a few new things. First off, the set was designed with this kind of new sealed limited environment where they designed the set to be played with a 3-pack limited pool where you would just crack 3 packs and that would give you a full limited deck. That was at least the idea they ran with. But it was also the release of... It was the first time Flesh and Blood did its expansion slot, which has been, in my opinion, a nice boon to the game because it allows them to put off-theme cards in sets to still provide needed support to classes that might want an extra card or two in a set that otherwise would not feature any support for that class. So Bright Lights being an all-Mechanologist set, it helped to have the expansion slot so that players who would otherwise never buy the set because they're never going to play Mechanologist, it still gives them something nice in the set, including a reprint of Findle's Spring Tunic, which is, even now, a very highly desirable piece of equipment. I have to say that it's really good. It's a solid chess piece. It was always good, and I think even now it's still a pretty good contender for top 5 easily. Now, full disclosure, when I got into Flesh and Blood as a player, rather than just as someone who sells the cards, I fell in love with Mechanologist pretty quick. So for me, the idea of an entire set dedicated to my class of choice was a no-brainer home run product. I fell in love pretty much right away, and I think this set is one of the coolest they've done, not only because of the fact that it's themed around one set, but because it expands, themed around one class, but because it expands on what that class is capable of. It introduces the Evo mechanics, the Galvanize mechanics. It really shakes up what you expect from a Mechanologist player. No longer is Mechanologist just the class of banish the top card to get go again with the boost mechanic. Now, Mechanologist has some more interesting, kind of janky tools under their belt. They did have some jank before, don't get me wrong, but this was the set that really expanded on it and made Mechanologist, in my opinion, a much more diverse class than it was before, where it kind of seemed like a, not necessarily a one-trick pony, but a very limited class, whereas now you're seeing some more expansion on it, and I like that a lot. Now, other people who don't like Mechanologist that much, they're not going to care all that much about this set. So In the pros and cons department, you're going to have some people who are going to love this set and want it. And you're also going to have people who just couldn't care less about it. As quick as Flesh and Blood is growing, and it is growing, the game is expanding at a crazy rate, and I don't think new sets are going to keep up with demand. Here's hoping that High Seas does, though, because I want some of that. But as the game grows, you're going to have a portion of that audience who does really want this older stuff, and you're going to have a portion of the audience that couldn't care less. So there's a pro and con to this whole single class structure for a set. But why am I talking about this? Well, for one, it's because I want to try and make content regularly so that I can get in the groove of making videos for all of you, but also because I want to continue the conversation from the other day where I want to continue the conversation from the other day where I discuss older Flesh and Blood product is cheaper. Not all, a lot of it though. Bright Light's MSRP'd at about $110 a box. I think it was like $109 something. And you can find it on TCG Player right now for $60, $70. It's a $30 discount. $40 if you're finding it for $60. This set is almost 2 years old, a year and a half old. I think it's out of print. Last time I checked, I do believe on the LSS website, because they keep track of what sets are being printed, what are in print. I'm pretty sure Bright Lights is out of print. And putting the entire conversation into perspective, for me, Bright Lights is extremely tempting as a long-term sealed product to pick up. Right now, because of its current price point relative to its age, it is below MSRP by a lot. You can buy a box for like $30 to $40 cheaper than it was released at. For me, that's very tempting. But it's even more tempting because it's 2 years old, almost. It's out of print. I don't think there's more coming. So if something changes in the future, whether it's the near future or the long term, where a large enough chunk of the new player base wants some Bright Lights, what's out there is what's out there. And sooner or later, there's not going to be enough out there. We've all seen what happened with Rosetta. We've all seen what happened with The Hunted. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think in the overall ecosystem of Flesh and Blood sets, I do think that Rosetta and Hunted have more to offer for the average player. But for those specialist players who really like Mechanologist, Bright Lights has a lot to offer. Now, I've said it plenty of times before on this channel, and I will continue to say it for probably years to come. But when a sealed product, when a booster box is at such a nice discount, it does become very tempting. It becomes very appealing to me individually. And I think that if you're thinking about the long term, if you're someone who's interested in holding product long term, it should tempt you too to see any product at such substantial discounts for a game that you think has the chance to go long term. There's a difference between a Flesh and Blood booster box being $30 off or a MetaZoo booster box being $30 off. You don't have a lot of faith that MetaZoo is still going to be a physical game 2 years from now. The same is not true for Flesh and Blood. I have a lot of faith in where Flesh and Blood is currently and where it is going. I foresee it being around for a long time, and that helps to shape my opinions on what is and is not a good purchase. So when I see a set that I really like, a booster box for a set that I really liked, that's older, still very cheap, and is for a game that I think has a really good chance of sticking around, it makes that decision way easier for me. So, I don't know. There's just something about this set, man. And I'm not spitting like hot air or anything here. Like, I did just recently grab a case for myself, and I'm probably going to grab another one in the near future. assuming I have spare money for it. I do like this set a lot. And I'm not going to linger too much longer on this. I just want to remind you guys, again, that there is value to be found out there in the market. And how you choose to look for it is kind of up to you. But just remember to be smart with your purchasing decisions and to grab something that, grab something you like. Because, look, I could be wrong. This could never go up. In fact, this could go to 0. Bright Lights could become the worst set ever. Maybe it's not out of print. Maybe LSS actually prints it into the ground and we're going to see $20 booster boxes for years to come. If that happens, I won't be all that negatively affected. I mean, I'll lose money on it, but I'll still have a product that I like. So that helps too. That helps inform this decision better, because that's something that I think a lot of people on the finance side of things, especially the people who are only in this short term, they don't tend to think about what happens if a product goes to 0, if their investment does not pan out. They don't tend to think about what happens if they're wrong. And I'm not perfect. I don't always think about what if I'm wrong either. Sometimes I do make impulse purchases, and, if that's a bad decision, I do pay for it later. But a lot of the times I like to think that even if I am wrong, I'm still getting product that I like. And Bright Lights is definitely a product that I like enough that if this does go to 0, I still have a set from Flesh and Blood that I enjoy, and I will if this case goes to 0, I'm probably just going to crack these and play them. I do really enjoy this set, so just putting that out there. There's a lot that goes into making a decision, and it shouldn't always just be about the money. Sometimes it should just be about, will you like this if you can't sell it? And thankfully for Bright Lights, the answer is yes. Anywho, that is all I've got for you kids today. If you enjoyed this video, all the liking, sharing, subscribing stuff, and leave a comment below. Is there a product that you like that is pretty cheap right now? And are you planning on grabbing some for yourself? Let me know, and I will see you kids in the next video. This could be my new workout.